Right, buddy, welcome back to the latest Manchester United news. Now, in this video, we will be talking about the latest on Ollie Watkins and the talks beginning. We have a shock Luke Shaw exit, which we will obviously discuss. Some news on ANTONY to Saudi Arabia and much more. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. I'll start off by talking about the Ollie Watkins stuff. We got some stuff on Emi Martinez loan deal as well, which we'll discuss towards the end of the show. But talks are starting to begin with Ollie Watkins. United had contact with him and Villa want to keep Watkins. That's sort of what's coming out from Fabrizio. From Sky Sports, Manchester United have had initial talks with Aston Villa over Ollie Watkins. They also have an interest in Alejandro Garnacho as well. In terms of the other strikers, Manchester United could pivot to the loan market if no outgoings happen. Alexander Mitrovic could be a cheaper option if Al Hilal want to part ways. However, if they can get Garnacho off the book, this could allow them to go for a more expensive number 9. Obviously, Newcastle now monitoring the Benjamin Sesko stuff, but obviously Isak now keen on an exit. Newcastle informed on the Sesko deal cost while working on multiple deals, including Wissa for Brentford. So it's looking like Watkins is kind of the main priority right now for Manchester United, with talks beginning with them. Obviously, we know we've seen Isak going yesterday. We don't have nowhere near enough money for him in terms of the total package. Aston Villa have told Manchester United that Ollie Watkins is not for sale. However, United want to talk with him as they want a Premier League proven striker. So I think Watkins is certainly a deal that can happen. For me, as I said, all the strikers we've been linked to recently, Watkins would probably be the one that I go for. I think he's better than Jackson. I think he's more suited to Manchester United than Benjamin Sesko. And again, he would be my ideal choice. Again, is not a perfect sign in Ollie Watkins. He does have issues as well. So does every player. But I think his strengths are that he's Prem proven, which is something that Amarim is focused on getting in. He can score. He scored 16 Premier League goals last season and got 8 assists. That is very good. That's very good numbers considering what Mbeumo got 20. I can't remember how much. I think Salah got 29. So again, listen, he did have a good season. Obviously, with Rashford going into Aston Villa, he probably got less minutes as well. But again, I've always thought Watkins was a top player, and he obviously has that connection with Mbeumo at Brentford. I think he certainly is a top class player, and I think he would fit into the Manchester United team perfectly. I think having Watkins there, you have Højlund as well, Cheeto to learn off him, as well as having Zirkzee in and around that. So then you do have a lot of attacking depth. I think let's look at the scenario if you do bring in Watkins. You have Mbeumo, Cunha, you can play Bruno there, you can play Ahmad there, Zirkzee, and then for the strikers you have Cheeto, Højlund and Watkins. So I've already mentioned Watkins, but I think then you really start to build up your attack. As I said, you can play Bruno there, Mason Mount there, Ahmad, Kobbie Mainoo. Like, you start to pick up that sort of attacking depth, and then you get rid of a Sancho, Antony, Garnacho. We've already got rid of Rashford on loan. So again, I think this deal does make sense. Again, Cunha and Mbeumo, like, I'm excited to see what they can offer for United. And yeah, listen, Ollie Watkins, if we sign 3 attackers this summer, it would be really eye-opening. And I think it makes sense for Manchester United to go for the attackers. I think goals were a huge problem last season. I think in terms of defensively, yes, we conceded at times a lot of goals, but I think we're much more steady defensively. And I think with the going into the season with the players that we have, the Aiden Heavens, the Lenny Yoros, the Martinez, Maguire, De Ligt, Mazraoui, I think defensively we're pretty, I wouldn't say solid, but I think the attack was much more of an issue. I think last season the defence looked alright and we just couldn't score goals for the life of us. So yeah, I think we will bring in someone. Who that is, I don't know. I don't mind it to be Ollie Watkins though. Now, the next thing, it looks like Antony is holding out for Real Betis. Better to try to understand the situation, whether it is a loan or for sale. If the deal doesn't happen within the next 2 weeks, the feel is Antony will have to accept that Betis might not be his destination. That came in from Ben Jacobs yesterday. And then we have 2 of Saudi Arabia's top clubs that are interested in signing Antony. A move to Real Betis is unlikely at this stage. Antony is taking his time to choose his next move and could be open to Saudi, but prefers to stay in Europe. So listen, on the Antony stuff, listen, I'm sure he wants to leave United. I think that's the priority for him. He wants to get minutes. and he ain't going to get that United, to be honest. I think he's known that for a while. He's looking to assess his options. I think with Antony, he's just never been good enough. And I think Saudi interested. Again, give us 30 million for him and you can take him, to be honest. I think he's just never been that player who's hit the ground running and had a good... I remember his first few games, I think he scored... It was Arsenal, his debut. He scored again against Everton. I'm sure he scored... And against Man City, I think it was. He scored in 3 games in a row. But again, he hasn't really hit it off. And I think Antony going to a different club will help him. And yeah, listen, could Saudi be interested? Again, there hasn't really been too much concrete talks with him. But let's see what does develop. Now, Douglas Luiz, again, he is going to be leaving Juventus. His relationship with Juventus is broken, and he will surely leave. His agent is now in Italy to assess all options. I think Douglas Luiz would be a good deal on loan. I think we can't afford to probably bring in another midfielder with Casemiro still saying on 300 grand a week or 350 grand a week. You got Ugarte there. Toby Collier is probably going to stay. You've got Mainu in that position. You've got Bruno who's putting in down that position. I think Douglas Luiz would be a decent option on loan. I think for me, if we are going to loan in a midfielder, he's definitely one of the options. You've got João Palhinha, he's one of the options. You've got Ederson. Like, there are options out there. Indeed, he's still always being linked to Manchester United. So, again, I think we will sign a midfielder. I think the focus right now, though, is the striker. So, let's see. But Douglas Luiz certainly is an option in the midfield. He definitely is a decent player. Again, the move didn't work out at Juventus. Another thing we've been linked to is Jean-Philippe Mateta, but I don't think he's going to leave. But it's something I've seen from Samuel Luckhurst, Ollie Watkins and Jean-Philippe Mateta. I think, listen, Mateta, I like him as a striker. I think he's a physical, modern day, can score goals. His improvement under Glasner has been fantastic for Crystal Palace. I think what he would add to this United team would be pretty good, but I just don't know whether United will go for him. And I think not Villa, Palace would want a lot of money for him, which is understandable because he was one of the better strikers in the Premier League last season under Glasner. So yeah, I think he's definitely one to look out for, but nothing has really been concrete with him yet. Now the next thing, Sene Lemons is keen on joining Manchester United, and Aston Villa have rejected approach from Manchester United for Martinez on a loan deal. Manchester United still deciding internally with experienced goalkeeper and young goalkeeper as options. Lemons from Antwerp remains the main names. Listen, I don't think we will sign Emi Martinez, if I'm being honest. I think he is... I just don't think we're going to sign him. I've seen pictures of Andre Onana back in training now as well, so I think what will probably happen is you sell Bayinda and you bring in someone in. I think that's something that will probably happen. You maybe sell Mbeumo, bring in a John Victor, or sell Bayinda and bring in... Did I say Mbeumo? Sell Bayinda and bring in Lemons or something like that. I just don't think we will sign... I don't think we will sign Martinez, but again, you never know. You never know what could happen. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, Luke Shaw exit now. Luke Shaw exit. So Luke Shaw is open to exit in Manchester United for the right offer, and will consider moves to Saudi. I mean, I've seen the article. It was then followed up as well by Mail Sport. They were saying that Luke Shaw could potentially be leaving Manchester United over concerns of his playing time, which is absolutely correct. Listen, Luke Shaw's been at the club. I think it was this is 11th season now. I believe 11th season. Might be longer than that, but he's been at the club a very, very long time. And I think a player who's on, I believe he's on over 200 grand a week. A player is just inconsistent. Now, when you do get a good free run of Luke Shaw, like a good few games, he is one of the best left-backs in the world, but how often do you get that? And that is the sort of thing that all United fans are talking about. As I said, with Shaw, no doubt, I think it's time for him to move on. I think the way that he's, like for England, he's always available, but for Manchester United, he's never really available. I do feel bad for him. I think the double leg fracture that he had in 2015 did obviously have a big impact on him. But again, since then, he's had a lot of injuries at Manchester United, hasn't really got into the run of form, I think if you do sell Luke Shaw or sell him to Saudi, which again the reason why I want to go would probably be for the money, I think you can generate some money for him, maybe 10, 15 million. And again, listen, I wish him all the best. As I said, he's just not the player we need right now. I think we should be focused on bringing in more younger options. I think we have Leon, we have Amas who's going to go on loan, we have Patrick Dorgu, Delo can fill in there, and I think it offers up another space. For example, you sell Luke Shaw, maybe see Godbook Okonkwo in the first team squads more often. So it does make a lot of sense. As I said, I would be surprised if he does leave. I think he's got 2 years left on his deal. He's getting 200 grand a week. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't want to leave. I mean, he played the opening pre-season game, but again, that's really about it. But listen, let me know your thoughts. That has been a bit of a long news update, but there was a lot to discuss. Let me know your thoughts on Watkins, Anthony. Obviously, do you think Luke Shaw's going to leave, the goalkeeper situation? And yeah, we'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching.